The alien city of Zathora glowed like a living ocean under the night sky. Tall crystal towers shimmered with blue light, and thousands of alien citizens moved through the streets like colorful waves. But among them walked a single human named Rylan Ward, a calm man with sharp eyes and a steady step. Humans were rare on this side of the galaxy, and aliens often whispered strange stories about them. Some believed humans were weak, others believed humans were unpredictable, but most had never seen one in real life. Rylan pushed open the door of Lyra's Star Cafe, a small, warm place filled with soft music and floating lanterns. As soon as he stepped inside, the music stopped for half a second. Conversations froze. Every alien eye turned toward him, not because he looked dangerous, but because he looked out of place. Behind the counter stood an alien waitress named Lyra. She had bright blue skin, silver eyes, and gentle antennae that glowed when she felt nervous. And right now, they were glowing very brightly. She had never served a human before. She took a slow breath and walked to him, trying to look confident. "Welcome to Star Cafe," she said, her voice soft. "How may I help you tonight?" Rylan smiled kindly. "I'll take one Zari Flame Brew," he said. Her smile disappeared. The entire cafe went quiet. A spoon dropped somewhere in the back. Someone gasped. Lyra blinked fast and shook her head. "I'm sorry, maybe you said wrong? Zari Flame Brew is only for fireblood species. Humans cannot drink that." Rylan leaned forward slightly. "I want it," he said in a calm, gentle voice. "Trust me." Lyra stared at him, confused and frightened. "Sir, that drink burns at 800 degrees inside the body," she said. "Only Zari, Corn, and Ashborn can handle it. Humans die." But Rylan's expression didn't change. "It's fine," he said. "Bring me one." The room filled with whispers. "He's crazy. Does he think humans are immortal? He will collapse." Lyra felt her hands shake. She looked at Rylan again, but his calm eyes didn't show fear. They showed something else, confidence, as if he knew something no one else knew. "All right," she whispered slowly, "but it is your risk." She turned around, took a special crystal cup, and filled it with a glowing orange liquid that moved like living fire. The heat alone made the air shimmer. Even standing near it felt like standing near a burning sun. Lyra's breath trembled. She placed the cup on a tray and slowly brought it to Rylan's table. Each step felt like she was delivering a weapon, not a drink. When she placed it in front of him, every eye in the cafe stared without blinking. The glowing drink pulsed like a beating heart. Rylan lifted it with steady hands. Lyra whispered, "Please don't do." He drank it in one slow, smooth breath. The cafe went silent, completely silent. The fire-like liquid glowed inside his chest, bright enough to be seen through his skin. A burning hate wave spread across the room, but Rylan didn't move. He didn't scream. He didn't fall. He simply set the cup down gently, wiped his mouth, and breathed out calmly. Lyra could not move. She looked at him with wide eyes. "How?" she whispered. Your body should be melting." Rylan shrugged lightly. "It's strong, but good." Aliens jumped from their seats in fear. Some backed away, others froze in shock. A group of Zari warriors stared with their jaws open. No human had ever survived flame brew before. Lyra stepped back, nearly dropping her tray again. Her voice shook. "Humans are not built for this." Rylan gave a small smile. "Some humans are different," he said. "Some can adapt." Lyra couldn't breathe. She felt her knees weaken. Who was this man? What kind of human drinks something that melts half the species on the planet? Rylan leaned back in his seat and said, "Can I get another one?" Every alien in the room gasped again, louder this time. A creature in the back fainted dramatically. A blue-skinned couple ran out of the cafe. Guards outside turned around in confusion after hearing the screams. Lyra covered her mouth with her shaking hands. "Another one?" she whispered. "Why would you want another one?" Rylan simply replied, "Because I can handle it." Her antenna flickered with pure fear. The entire cafe felt like it had turned to ice despite the heat of the drink. The silent shock was so heavy that even the floating lanterns seemed to stop drifting. Lyra whispered almost in a tremble. Humans cannot do things like this. Ryland's eyes glowed faintly for a moment, the same color as the drink he had swallowed. He said softly, maybe old humans couldn't. Before she could respond, Lyra suddenly felt lightheaded. Her vision blurred, the world spun around her. She had seen many impossible things in her lifetime, but nothing like this. Her knees gave out. The tray slipped from her hand, and the alien waitress collapsed in shock. The entire cafe erupted in panic as Ryland stood up quickly to help her. His hands glowed faintly with residual heat, but all he said in a calm voice that cut through the chaos was, "Please don't be afraid." And that was the night the cafe went silent, frozen in fear and confusion, and the galaxy's legends about humans quietly began to change.
Lyra's body lay on the smooth cafe floor as the glowing lanterns flickered nervously above her. The alien customers backed away in fear, whispering to each other as if they had witnessed a forbidden ritual. Ryland knelt beside her, his expression calm but concerned. His hands still carried a faint warmth from the flame brew, a warmth that no human should have survived. "Someone bring water," he said gently, but his voice carried authority. Even the strongest alien guards hesitated before moving. It was as if the human's presence pulled the room into his orbit. Lyra's fingers twitched. Her eyelids fluttered and she slowly opened her silver eyes. The first thing she saw was Ryland's face close to hers, calm, steady, almost glowing in the warm cafe light. She gasped and sat up fast, her antennas sparking bright white. You're alive," she whispered. "You drank it, and you're alive." Ryland offered her his hand, which she accepted with trembling fingers. She stood up slowly, still shocked, still pale. The cafe customers stared at her with wide, fearful eyes. One alien whispered loudly, "This human is not normal." Another added, "He must be a weapon." Lyra swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "Ryland, humans cannot drink Zari flame brew. Your organs should be destroyed from inside. That drink burns like living fire." Ryland simply replied, "I told you, I can handle it." His calmness only made the room more tense. The air felt thick, like the moment before a storm. Lyra stared at him, trying to understand, trying to make sense of something that should have been impossible. Then he said the words that froze the room again. "Actually, I would like another one." The cafe exploded again with gasps and panicked murmurs. A green-skinned merchant stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. A tiny, three-eyed creature fainted dramatically in the corner. Lyra held her chest as if her heart might jump out. "Why do you want more?" she whispered. "One should have killed you." Ryland tilted his head slightly. "Because I need to test something. I want to see if my body adapts again." Adapt. That word sent a chill through Lyra's spine. Adaptation was rare in the galaxy. Only a few species could change their biology under pressure, but certainly not humans. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Ryland, you are scaring everyone." He looked around, noticing the terrified faces. "I'm not here to scare anyone. I just want my drink." Lyra's antennas flickered again. She turned toward the counter, her legs shaking as she walked. Every step felt like she was approaching danger. She took the special crystal cup once more, filled it with the glowing flame brew, but her hands shook so much that a small drop spilled onto the counter. The wood hissed and burned instantly, leaving a dark scar. And yet Ryland wanted to drink that. She carried the drink back to his table, her arms trembling like loose wires. When she placed the cup down, she whispered, "Please be careful." Ryland lifted the second flame brew and without hesitation drank it in a single slow motion. The same glow spread through his chest, but this time it was brighter, hotter, almost alive. The air temperature in the cafe rose instantly. Steam curled from the windows, lights dimmed. A soft humming sound filled the place. But Ryland remained calm. He set the cup down slowly like nothing had happened. Lyra stared in pure disbelief. "Your heartbeat, your glow, it's stronger than before," she whispered. "You are adapting." The whispers in the room grew louder and more chaotic. "No human can do this. He's some kind of experiment." Is he dangerous? Lyra stepped back as if afraid he might explode. Rylan, what are you? Before he could answer, the cafe doors burst open. The city guards rushed in, wearing dark armor and holding energy staffs. Their captain, a tall reptilian alien with golden scales, scanned the room quickly. His voice boomed. We heard a disturbance. Then he saw Rylan standing calmly with a glowing chest. His eyes narrowed. What did the human do? Lyra tried to speak, but only one sentence came out. He drank flame brew. Twice. The captain guard looked stunned for a moment, then laughed harshly. Impossible, he growled. Humans cannot handle that drink. Rylan met his gaze without fear. Some of us can, he said quietly. That simple answer made the captain angry. He stepped forward, towering over Rylan. Are you trying to threaten this place? Are you some kind of monster? Rylan didn't move, didn't blink, didn't raise his voice. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I only drank something your people said I couldn't. The captain grabbed Rylan by the shirt, pulling him closer. You will come with us for testing, he growled. Lyra gasped. Captain, please don't touch him. But it was too late. A sudden wave of heat pulsed from Rylan's body, not violent, not harmful, but powerful enough to push the captain backwards several steps. The energy felt like a shockwave made of warm air. The entire cafe gasped. Lyra covered her mouth. The captain stumbled and stared in shock. Rylan stood still, glowing faintly, eyes calm. I told you, he said softly. I can adapt. And for the second time that night, the cafe fell into complete silence.
The guard captain stared at Rylan with wide reptilian eyes. His golden scales twitched, as if he could not believe what had pushed him back. The crowd stood frozen, half hiding behind chairs and tables, unsure whether Rylan was a miracle or a threat. Lyra clutched her apron, her heart beating fast. She had never seen a guard captain lose balance. Those reptilian soldiers were famous for being strong as stone and stubborn as mountains. Yet, a human had moved him without even lifting a finger. The captain growled low. Human, what did you do to me? Rylan lifted his hands peacefully. I did not attack you, he said in a calm tone that made the silence even heavier. Your body reacted to the heat wave. That is all. The captain's tail slammed against the floor, cracking the tile. Do not lie. Humans do not create heat waves. Lyra stepped forward, her voice shaking. Captain, I saw it. It happened after he drank the flame brew. Twice. The captain snarled. Silence, waitress. But Lyra did not step back. She had collapsed earlier in shock, but something inside her had changed. She wanted to understand the strange human, not fear him. She whispered, he survived something that would kill us. That must mean something. The captain ignored her. He marched toward Rylan again, gripping his energy staff tightly. You will come with me. If you resist, I will break you. Rylan lifted his hands peacefully. I did not attack you, he said in a calm tone that made the silence even heavier. Your body reacted to the heat wave. That is all. The captain's tail slammed against the floor, cracking the tile. Do not lie. Humans do not create heat waves. Lyra stepped forward, her voice shaking. Captain, I saw it. It happened after he drank the flame brew. Twice. The captain snarled, Silence, waitress. But Lyra did not step back. She had collapsed earlier in shock, but something inside her had changed. She wanted to understand the strange human, not fear him. She whispered, he survived something that would kill us. That must mean something. The captain ignored her. He marched toward Rylan again, gripping his energy staff tightly. You will come with me. If you resist, I will break you. Rylan tilted his head slightly. I prefer not to fight. That answer made the captain laugh, a deep, heavy sound. Humans always say that because you are weak. The moment he grabbed Rylan again, everything changed. A bright pulse of heat shot from Rylan's body, not violent, but powerful. The cafe windows fogged instantly. Lanterns flickered wildly, and every alien felt the air thicken like a warm storm. The captain flew backward again, crashing onto a table, sending plates and cups flying everywhere. Captain,
one guard shouted, rushing to him. The reptilian officer groaned, trying to stand. His armor glowed faint orange from the heat. His eyes shook in disbelief. What are you? Rylan remained calm, but his chest still glowed faintly. I told you, some humans adapt when they face danger. Lyra whispered, adapt? Like evolve? Rylan nodded. Exactly. The guards raised their weapons glowing blue with charged plasma. Stay where you are, they shouted, but their voices cracked with fear. Rylan lifted his hands again. I do not wish to hurt anyone. But the captain, full of anger and humiliation, stood up shakily and roared, Fire! The guards hesitated. Their hands shook. One of them whispered, But sir, if he survived flame brew, our weapons might not work. Fire! The captain screamed louder. But before any of them could pull their triggers, the cafe screens around the walls flashed red with an emergency alert. A robotic voice echoed through the room. Warning, Imperial inspectors approaching, hostile clearance level. The entire cafe gasped. Even the captain froze. Lyra covered her mouth in pure fear. The Imperial inspectors were not normal guards. They were elite enforcers, cold, powerful, feared across every planet. When they arrived, someone ended up in chains or worse. The captain cursed under his breath. Why are they coming here? Another guard whispered, It must be because of the energy spikes. All eyes slowly turned back to Rylan. His chest still glowed with residual heat from the flame brew, and the 2 drinks he had consumed had released enough energy to be detected across the city. Lyra trembled as the truth sunk in. They think he is a threat. Rylan remained silent for a moment, his expression calm, almost sad. I was hoping this would not happen, he said quietly. The captain stared at him. You know the inspectors? Rylan nodded once. They are not coming to talk. Outside, heavy footsteps echoed through the street. Each step sounded like Nuttall crushing stone. The air outside grew colder, darker, as shadows moved across the cafe's windows. Customers rushed to hide behind tables. A mother pulled her child close. A group of small insectoid aliens crawled under a booth. Lyra slowly approached Rylan. What will they do? She whispered. Rylan looked at her gently. They will test me, he said. They always test anything they don't understand. The doors burst open with a deafening blast of cold air. 3 tall figures stepped into the cafe, their bodies covered in metal armor, their faces hidden behind glowing masks. Their presence alone made the room feel 10 degrees colder. The middle inspector scanned the room with lifeless eyes and stopped at Rylan. Human detected, he said in a low, mechanical voice. Unapproved energy levels, biological anomaly, prepare for extraction. The captain bowed slightly, terrified. Inspectors, we had everything under control. The inspector ignored him completely. He walked toward Rylan with slow, heavy steps. Identify yourself. Rylan breathed slowly. Rylan Ward, Human Adaptability Project. Lyra's eyes widened. Project? She whispered. You are an experiment? The inspector raised his hand, activating a device that hummed with dangerous power. Show us your ability. Do it again. The cafe grew colder. The customers trembled. The captain stepped back. Even Lyra felt her knees weaken. Ryland exhaled softly and whispered, I do not want to hurt anyone. The inspector implied, You will. And the entire cafe braced for what was coming next.
The cafe felt colder than deep space as the 3 Imperial inspectors stepped inside. Their metallic armor reflected the orange glow still flickering faintly from Ryland's chest. Every alien in the room held their breath, because when the inspectors arrived, it usually meant someone would disappear forever. The lead inspector raised a scanning device toward Ryland. A thin blue beam passed over his body, humming loudly. The device beeped sharply. Biological reading unstable, the inspector said in a flat mechanical voice. Heat signature beyond human limits. Energy adaptation detected. The captain of the guards swallowed hard. He had faced criminals and beasts before, but this was different. This was a human doing the impossible. Lyra stood behind a table, her fingers trembling. She wanted to warn Rylan, to shield him somehow, but she knew she had no power against the Empire's cold machines. The inspector took another step toward Rylan. "Repeat the energy output," he commanded. "Now." Rylan looked around the room, seeing the fear in every face. He lowered his voice. "Your actions will scare these people. I do not want that." The inspector replied without emotion. "Your desire is irrelevant." He raised his hand, pressing a button on his gauntlet. A sudden beam of freezing energy shot toward Ryland, powerful enough to freeze molten metal. The entire cafe gasped. The beam hit Ryland in the chest. A wave of frost spread over him. His skin turned pale, his clothes iced over. The floor under him cracked. Lyra screamed, covering her mouth. "No!" But then something impossible happened. The frost began to glow. The ice melted off his body. Steam rose around him, and Ryland stepped forward unharmed. A soft heat wave filled the cafe, warming the air again. The inspector leaned slightly forward, confused. "Impossible," he said. "Humans cannot counter cryo beams." Ryland looked straight into the glowing helmet. "Some humans can adapt to anything," he said quietly. The second inspector activated his weapon, a sphere of compressed gravity. "Begin gravitational pressure test," he announced. The sphere expanded and wrapped around Ryland like an invisible cage. The air bent and twisted. The floor groaned as cracks spread beneath him. The pressure grew stronger and stronger, enough to crush bones and organs. Lyra watched with tears in her eyes. "Please stop. He will die," she cried. But Ryland didn't collapse. He didn't scream. He didn't even kneel. His muscles tightened, his breathing slowed, and his eyes glowed with faint orange light. Then, the gravity sphere shattered like broken glass. A shockwave spread across the cafe, knocking chairs over. The inspectors staggered for the first time. The lead inspector's robotic voice glitched slightly. "Unacceptable." Ryland raised one hand slightly. "I told you, I am not here to fight." The third inspector stepped forward silently, his armor darker than the others. This one was known across the galaxy as the Breaker, because no creature had survived his tests without collapsing. He extended his palm, releasing a wave of pure radiation, invisible but lethal. The cafe lights flickered violently. Lyra felt her antennas spark from the intensity. "Radiation test. Maximum," the Breaker said coldly. Ryland's chest glowed again, brighter than before. His body absorbed the invisible energy, and instead of weakening, he straightened his back and stood even taller. Heat swirled around him like rising flames. His eyes shone with ember-like light. The glow inside him pulsed like a second heart. The Breaker stepped back slightly, his metal boots scraping the floor. "Human anomaly," he said, his voice distorted. "Danger level increased." Ryland finally spoke with a stronger voice. "Stop testing me. You will hurt these people." The lead inspector turned toward Lyra and the customers. "If they are harmed, it is your fault," he said, pointing at Ryland. Ryland's expression darkened for the first time. His voice dropped low. "Do not threaten them." Heat rippled through the air again. The inspectors raised their weapons. The lead inspector announced, "Human anomaly must be contained." The Breaker added, "Prepare for capture." Lyra shouted, "No, he didn't do anything wrong." But one of the inspectors grabbed her arm to pull her aside. And that was the breaking point. Ryland moved like a flash of orange light. One moment he stood still. The next moment his hand was on the inspector's wrist. A gentle touch, but a powerful message. His body glowed intensely, hotter than the flame brew. The inspector's armor heated rapidly, glowing red. The machine jerked back, releasing Lyra instantly. Ryland pulled her behind him protectively. "Do not touch her," he said in a calm but dangerous voice. The inspectors froze. For the first time, they hesitated. The lead inspector recalculated. Energy spike critical. Adaptation rapid. Containment impossible.
He looked at Rylan and said words no inspector had ever spoken before. "State your purpose, human." Rylan exhaled softly. "I came here to warn you. There is something coming, something far worse than me. Humanity adapted to face it." The cafe fell completely silent. Lyra felt her heart stop for a moment. The inspectors looked at each other, unsure. Even the breaker lowered his hand. Rylan's glow faded slowly. He continued in a calm voice. "But if your people threaten innocent lives, then I will defend them." The inspectors said nothing, but their hesitation told everyone one thing. For the first time in history, the Empire had met a human they could not break.
The three Imperial inspectors stood frozen, their glowing masks aimed at the human who refused to fall. The cafe customers hid behind tables, watching the impossible unfold. No one moved, not even the air seemed to move. Only Rylan stood calm with Lyra behind him, her hand still gripping his sleeve tightly. The lead inspector processed Rylan's words again, his robotic voice cold but uncertain. "You claim a threat is coming." Rylan nodded slightly, his chest still glowing softly. "Yes," he said, "something your empire cannot face alone." The breaker stepped forward. "Explain," he demanded, his voice distorted by static. Rylan breathed slowly. "A species that adapts faster than any race. A species that grows stronger every hour," he said. "Humanity learned to survive them, and we changed." Lyra looked up at him, her silver eyes full of fear and curiosity. "Is that why you can drink the flame brew?" she whispered. "Is that why you survived everything?" Rylan nodded gently. "Human bodies were forced to evolve," he said. "Pain made us stronger. Danger made us adapt." The inspectors exchanged silent digital signals. The cafe lights flickered as if reacting to their coded debate. The lead inspector stepped closer to Rylan. "If what you say is true, you must be examined." Rylan shook his head. "No," he said simply. The inspector raised his arm again, powering his gauntlet. "Then we will take you by force." Lyra stepped in front of Rylan before she even realized what she was doing. Her voice trembled as she shouted, "Stop! He saved us! He saved me!" The inspector ignored her, his weapon humming to full power. And then Rylan said the words that made the entire cafe hold its breath. "Fine," he whispered. "If you want to see my power, I'll do it again." The whole cafe felt the air shift. The temperature rose like a sunrise. A faint orange glow spread through Rylan's skin like molten metal beneath glass. The inspectors stepped backward instinctively. Even the captain shielded his eyes from the bright heat. Rylan took one slow step forward. The air shook. The ground vibrated. Chairs rattled. Lanterns drifted away from him as if pushed by invisible wind. He closed his eyes and released the power. A glowing shockwave spread out from him, but it wasn't violent. It wasn't destructive. It was controlled, perfectly controlled. The inspectors' weapons froze mid-charge, their systems overheating. Their armor glowed red, then powered down completely. The lights on their helmets dimmed, and the three powerful inspectors dropped to one knee, unable to stand. The cafe burst into gasps and shocked whispers. "He did it again! That power! Is he even human? He shut down the Empire's strongest soldiers!" Lyra stared at Rylan with wide, shining eyes. "You saved us," she whispered. "Again." Rylan exhaled slowly, the glow fading from his chest. "They are alive," he said calmly. "I didn't hurt them." The breaker's voice crackled weakly. "Human, you are not stable." Rylan came down, kneeled to look at the fallen inspector. "No one is stable in the universe,
But humans, we learn. The inspector processed his words. We cannot fight your kind. Ryland shook his head. Then don't, he said. Stand with us instead. The cafe went silent again. But this time, it was a respectful silence, a silence of realization. The lead inspector spoke. You will come with us to report this threat. Your cooperation is required. Ryland stood and backed away slightly. Not tonight, he said. Tonight, these people have seen enough fear. The inspectors looked around, scanning the terrified faces of civilians, their weapons still disabled, their armor still overheated. Finally, the lead inspector lowered his head. Very well, he said. We will return for you later. They turned toward the door, but before leaving, the breaker paused and looked at Ryland. Human, your adaptation is extraordinary. Ryland replied, It is not just adaptation, it is survival. The inspectors left, their heavy metal footsteps echoing down the street until the sound vanished into the night. For a long moment, no one in the cafe spoke. Then, slowly, every alien in the room turned toward Ryland, not with fear, but with awe. Lyra stepped closer, her voice soft. Ryland, what will happen now? Ryland looked at her with a small, tired smile. Now, he said gently, I drink something normal. She laughed shakily, the fear finally melting out of her body. No more flame brew, she said quickly. You scared me enough tonight. Ryland didn't mean to. Lyra took his hand before she even realized she was doing it. Thank you, she whispered, for saving us, for protecting me. Ryland looked around at the cafe, at the aliens who now saw him not as a threat, but as something new, something powerful, something protective. He squeezed Lyra's hand softly and said, This galaxy has no idea what humans can really do. And that night, in a small, glowing cafe on a distant world, a legend was born. The legend of the human who drank fire, adapted to the impossible, and stood against the Empire without fear. A legend that would soon spread across the stars, changing everything.